Bleach TYBW episode 45, Live to Defend, just came out, and just to say it was truly phenomenal as it shocked the whole fandom, even getting a 10 on 10 rating upon its release. The episode continued from the previous one by having Ichigo's Horn of Salvation form face-off against Yhwach, in which despite his impressive capabilities, it eventually fell short as Yhwach was too powerful. This then forced Orihime in a way to step up as she kept on reviving Ichigo, but just at the moment when all hope seemed to be lost, the sky turned pitch black as Ichigo activated his new bankai. Keep in mind that this bankai had never been shown in the manga, as it was instantly destroyed upon activation by Yhwach. From this moment on, everything that happened was purely anime original content, as despite the new levels of power that came with his bankai and the help he had gotten from Rukia, Yhwach was just still too powerful and at the end came out victorious. This then caused one of if not the greatest scenes in the series, where Orihime in a way finally succeeded to reject her weakness, and by unlocking the full potential of her power, she managed to reject the queen-seeking Yhwach at the cost of her own life. What makes this episode so good and yet so frightening was the fact that, for the first time in over a decade, Bleach fans have no clue on the events that precede this episode, as majority of its content wasn't even in the manga. So today I'm going to walk you guys through my prediction of how the upcoming events are going to unfold in the next episode. And if you haven't already, then subscribe and brace yourself, because what I'm about to reveal may give you a new perception of what is going on. Firstly, we have to acknowledge the fact that the manga presented things differently, as after getting his Horn of Salvation, Ichigo in a gruesome battle with Yhwach was easily overwhelmed by the Quincy King, who had now absorbed the Soul King. Ichigo then pops his bankai Tensa Zangetsu, but it immediately gets shattered by Yhwach across all timelines. This exact moment always made fans wonder if Ichigo's bankai was so strong that Yhwach couldn't let Ichigo ever wield it against him. This then plunged Ichigo into a state of despair, as with his bankai's destruction, he lost all hope of defeating the Quincy King. Now, despite the recent episodes changing the entire proceedings of these events, I think the manga's own direction still plays a crucial role in the next episode. Now, the backbone of my theory is that the entirety of episode 45 was one of the alternate timelines that Yhwach saw, and before you think I'm spouting nonsense, just give me some time to explain. Now, we know that in the manga, Yhwach had to have destroyed Ichigo's bankai because he foresaw a future where its incredible power led to his death. But despite the new dimensions of strength that was portrayed by Ichigo's new bankai in the recent episode, we saw that at the end of the day, instead of Ichigo succeeding to kill Yhwach, what happened instead was that the moments followed after Ichigo's bankai activation pushed Orihime to her limit, and with this she was able to reject Yhwach out of existence with the very cost of her life, meaning the future that Yhwach saw in the manga that led to him destroying Ichigo's bankai wasn't the one in which he died by the hands of Ichigo, but rather it was one in which Orihime gave up her life to reject his. And as crazy as what I'm about to say may sound, this is exactly how I think the next episode shall play out. Now, we know that the Almighty isn't only the power to see the future, but it is a power that also lets Yhwach change the future as he pleases. The reason why I'm bringing up this point is the fact that despite not having the Almighty throughout his battle against Ichigo in the anime, and it being instead with Jugram Hashword, who was currently in a battle with Uyu Ishida, if you pay attention to the exact scenes before Yhwach gets erased from existence, his eyes can be seen wielding the Almighty, as at that exact moment, Uyu Ishida managed to strip Jugram of his Quincy powers, which likely resulted in the Almighty returning back to Yhwach. Now, we also know that the Almighty is immune to any power that it can see, but despite that, Yhwach still got erased from existence. This might have happened as a result of the fact that Orihime's power might have rejected the passive immunity of the Almighty itself, forcing Yhwach at the split second before his death to change the future into one where this never happened in the first place. Now, brace yourself, because this is the height of the prediction. Now, the next episode starts with Ichigo and Rukia grieving over the death of Orihime, but in honor to her sacrifice, they deactivate their bankais as they assume the war to be over. But just after Ichigo deactivates his bankai, they all get shocked as a familiar presence reappears, as they turn around to see Yhwach now wielding the Almighty and holding Orihime by the neck as he shoots her to the side. Now, Ichigo, seeing this, questions how it's even possible, as Yhwach then goes to tell him with a grin on his face that the Almighty isn't only the power to see the future, but the power to alter it. Now keep in mind that Orihime isn't dead, just unconscious and seriously hurt. With all this shock and sudden need to protect, Ichigo then tries to go bankai again, and it is now that we see the events of the manga unfolding, as we see his bankai instantly break into pieces, and with this, the anime proceeds with the scene of Ichigo now drowned in despair and hopelessness as he proclaims it's all over. Now keep in mind that though this is how I think the events will unfold, we might actually see Yhwach just change the future from the point of Ichigo activating his bankai for the first time. This then makes the entirety of episode 45 a fever dream, as Yhwach makes it so that it never happened in the first place. Now the reason I reject this idea of Yhwach changing events from the initial bankai activation is the fact that it takes away the depth of Orihime's sacrifice, making episode 45 pointless as though it was an alternate future. It never happened in the canon timeline. So guys, that's my prediction for episode 46 of the 1000-Year Blood War, and if you agree with me or have theories of your own, please feel free to drop them down in the comments, as I will be eagerly waiting to see them. Now don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and as always, I will see you guys in the next video.